Hi, my name is Floyd Sturdifin, the coach that helps you mind the gap. Here in Florida, it's well known that when you're out and about, we want you to practice social distancing, which in our case means 6 feet apart and wearing a mask at all times when out in public. Now, over this past weekend, I experienced some things that made me question what I was seeing, and it also made me think about how we're interacting in the workplace. So I'll start off with this. So on Saturday, I went to the local auto parts store to pick up a battery for my wife's car. And when I walked in, I interacted with what seemed at least to be 20 individuals, including made up of customers and the employees, and none of them had on masks. The entire time that I was there, which was maybe 15, 20 minutes, there was only one individual who was wearing a mask, and that was a much older gentleman, and he actually wore his mask around his neck, didn't even cover his face. Later on that day, I went to the local gun range, indoor gun range. And I would say out of the 50 to 60 people that were there, maybe 10% were actually wearing a mask, although they did do a better job of social distancing. And then on Sunday, I went to the local outdoor and sports department store to pick up some items. And I think I interacted with at least 80 individuals. And I would say 1% of those that I interacted with or passed while walking through the store were wearing a mask. And none of those included the employees. So what that made me wonder is, if we're willing to take these sort of risks in our personal lives, knowing the potential deadly outcomes, what are we doing in our professional lives that may be causing us harm in our careers? So here are some things that I'd like for you to be hypersensitive on as you go through this week. The first one is going to be peer pressure. Now, typically peer pressure is something that we only think of as happening in high school or in college, but it's very real, even in the workplace. Too often I've seen high achievers go into a position with high expectations, high standards, only to have them tapered. And tapered because of social norms in that environment. So the antidote to this is to make sure that if your standard is here, you keep your standard up here. You don't settle for down here. You actually want to have them increase their standard to your level. And that's only going to benefit the organization. Do not allow yourself to be pressured, bullied, or made to feel bad because someone else chooses not to excel. As the phrase goes, do you. The second thing is going to be buying into a stagnant or a fixed mindset. Now, this is the mindset where it could be, we've always done it this way, or that's just the way it is. Don't settle for that. Allow yourself to keep pushing forward. If there's a way to do it better and it's safe, then be that champion. Go out there and push for something that will allow you to work smarter and not harder. So while I just talked about two things that I'd like for you to be mindful of as you go through this week, there are other things. So if you identify those, don't feel bad or don't feel limited to just these two things. If you see it and you recognize it, address it. I'm Floyd Sturdifin, and as always, let your passion fuel your purpose and your purpose drive your performance. Have a great week.